Are you a workaholic or caretaker? You feel constantly depleted and you feel forced to constantly say yes, and you're starting to feel like people are just taking and taking and taking from you. Is this you? Stay tuned to learn how to set some personal boundaries. So why is it important to set boundaries? Because if you don't have boundaries, you're letting people get away with behaviors that are not acceptable. And if the reason that you constantly feel that you have to say yes is because you're craving validation or you think you're going to get validation, this is going to be an upcoming video that I'm working on. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. So what happens when you're constantly saying yes to others? You're basically saying no to yourself. You're making other people's agenda a priority versus yours. And people see this, that you will automatically give them a yes, so they won't even value when you say yes anymore, and they'll just expect it, and they might even start to treat you poorly. And every time you're saying yes to, you are training people to keep asking you and expect it from you, and this is just going to keep escalating. It's never going to go away. It's just going to get worse. This will also make it harder for you to say no in the future because they're expecting you to say yes, and the first time you say no, they might get even upset. And not only that, you've been saying yes. And why is this a toxic cycle? This is a toxic cycle because when you don't have personal boundaries, then you find yourself saying yes when you really want to say no. And within you, you are creating resentment. And this resentment is not a good way to live with yourself. So here are some tips for you to set some good personal and healthy boundaries. So if you're like me, if you relate, I'm very empathetic, and when people share their stories or I hear their struggles, I'm practicing this. I teach what I need to learn actually, but I will just absorb it and feel their pain, and it will just come inside, and I'll be also feeling everything. So if you're an empath person, you have to protect yourself, and you can visualize a shield of light where you are not just going to take in other people's pains and struggles or their stories that they're sharing with you, and you are just going to listen, and you are going to be there. And sometimes people just want to be heard. They don't want you to solve their problems. So just protect yourself with a shield of light so you don't internalize whatever other people are sharing with you. Another very good tip is schedule your priorities first. And when you schedule your priorities, then make them non-negotiable because they're important. They're priority for a reason. It will get better the more you practice setting personal boundaries. And at the beginning, it will feel very uncomfortable. And if you're prepared for that, that's part of the process. It'll be easier for you to overcome it. Plus, when you first start practicing setting personal boundaries, think of it this way. At the beginning, it's going to feel uncomfortable, and it's going to be maybe awkward, and you might even feel a little bad. But think of it like this. If you stick to your personal boundaries, this awkward feeling is short. But if you say yes again, that's going to be a long-term consequence. So it's worth it because that little time of uncomfort, it'll pay in the long term. Also, when you're setting boundaries, your personal boundaries, you have to stick to them yourself too, because otherwise people are going to see that you don't really stick to them, and they're never going to take you seriously, especially if they find a loophole. For example, if you have office hours and they're clearly stated, and someone is messaging you after those hours, don't respond, because otherwise they're going to say, if I message this person at this time, they'll respond, and then your boundary is gone. So you have to also be the one that has to participate in keeping those boundaries. And yes, you teach people how to treat you. So especially at the beginning, if you set healthy boundaries, you set clear expectations. A very important reason too for you to have boundaries is because you need to fill your glass first. Otherwise you constantly feel depleted, and you're not even going to be able to be there for things that you actually want to say yes. So a lot of self-care is important, that you take care of yourself. You add yourself to your priority list first. If you're trying to get things done and you're not sure what is it that's taking time away from you, you don't know if it's people or interruptions or what is it, if it's distractions, then what you can do, and what I always recommend people do in all my webinars too, is journaling. And journal at least for 2 weeks, and every time you get interrupted or distracted, write it down and document what was the distraction and how long it took you to get back, to get focused and to get back to what you were doing originally. And this is very helpful because then you start to notice patterns. You will start to notice, oh, this keeps repeating at this time, and then you'll be able to set a plan in place to stop that from happening. I use very awesome tool online that's free. It's called Toggl. It's TOGGL.com, and I'm able to track my time exactly on what I'm doing. And even if I'm doing something that wasn't in my agenda, I'll be able to track it. So it's a very useful tool if you want to give it a shot. And last, if someone again is asking you to do something and you really want to say no, but you really don't know how to say no in the moment, because at the moment you feel pressured, right there in front of you. And what I recommend is that your default response can be, if you're afraid that you're not going to know what to say at the moment when that happens, then you can say, thank you for thinking of me. Let me get back to you on that. And that will help you not feel pressure at the moment to give a response. This will give you a time to not feel pressure and to really think if you really want to engage in what they're asking of you. If this works, make sure you let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to set healthy boundaries. So starting today, I challenge you to start setting some personal boundaries, and even people are going to appreciate your time more, because this shows self-respect, and you will have more time to be there and do things that really matter to you. And when you're able to take care of yourself first, everything else is a ripple effect. Everything will start to get better too. To healthy boundaries. Would you like to find out what's sabotaging your life? Take the quiz and answer a couple questions, and you will get your free guide. You will get your customized result to match your answers. You can also text at 44222 and get my top 7 favorite transformational books that I highly recommend. I will also be putting a link for the guide if you're interested below. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and write in the comments if there's a specific topic you would like me to make a video about, if there's something in personal development, or if you're curious about how to build your emotional intelligence, post it below. Stick to your... My new shirt! Shout out to Curly!